Hi, Aiden. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Candy. Hi, Michaela. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes for some more kiddos to pop in. Hi, Tegan. Hi, Shiloh. Hi, Liam. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Ella. Hi, Leonardo. I didn't even see you. You snuck in. All right. So our warm up today is not like our traditional warm up per se. Um, I want you guys to take the time we do for a warm up, and I want you to do a self inventory. Okay. The warm up question is, are you on track to pass this quarter? If you are not, hi, Madeline. If you're not on track, what do you need to do to get there? Now, I'm not asking you to unmute. I'm not asking you to type it in the chat. This is something that I want you to self-evaluate. I want you to think about what you have done, what you still need to do, where you're sitting. Now, obviously, I'm going to be thinking about my class. We're in my class right now, but you also kind of need to do a little self-inventory, or a little self-assessment for all of your classes, right? One of the things, hi, Sierra, that I have said since quarter one is we're coming down. We have 4.5 days left until the March 6th, which is when your quarter three work closes, 11:59 p.m. If you are looking at the stack of things to do, because for whatever reason you didn't work on what you needed to work on this quarter, you need to focus on the summative assignments. So that would be Module 9, Lesson 1 quiz, Module 9, Lesson 3 quiz, Module 9, Lesson 4 quiz. Remember, we have the quiz review sheets are in our playbacks. All you have to do is, print one of those out, because remember, you cannot have an electronic thing open, but you may use those notes to help you when you do your quiz. And you have 3 tries on those. And remember, I reopened them. The Zombie Apocalypse Project, that's another summative. And then the 2 EverFi lesson assessments, the one on the marketplaces lesson assessment and the economy lesson assessment. And we'll go over that in just a moment. So if you are like, what do I do? Where do I have to be? I'm sitting at a 50. What can I do to get me at least over the 60? And maybe hopefully you won't dig a hole next quarter either. You need to focus on your summatives. Okay. We finished for the most part, the course arc in the notebook. You guys should have been able to turn in your notebook yesterday. The course arc you could have turned in. There was one last page in the course arc that we didn't have a chance to get to, and I said I would go over really quickly. And it's just budgeting and taxing on the state and the local level. And so you've got to remember, just like the federal government, the states and the local, like towns and cities, they rely on revenue, right? Taxes, whether it is income tax, although we don't have that in Nevada, sales taxes, property taxes, all kinds, like those different revenue streams is their paycheck, right? And then they have expenditures. They have things that they have to pay for. We talked about operating budgets, right? So same thing goes. All the stuff that went for the federal level, those same kind of things still go for the state and the local level. They have to deal with their day-to-day spending needs, like salaries of the employees, supplies needed to run the government, Maintenance of facilities and buildings, etc. They have to do that, whether it's federal, state, or local level. Capital budgets. Again, the states have to worry about like maybe highways or bridges or large, things, whereas the local governments are dealing with like roads in the city, stop signs, lights, a building, etc. So operating budgets, capital budgets. Now, one of the things that 48 of the 50 states has is they do require that they balance their budget, but it's only on the operating budget, which makes it, that's okay, Haley. I'm just glad you were taking care of business. So it makes it a little bit easier when they only have to worry about balancing their operating budget, because capital budgets are generally not, we're going to spend this large amount of money all the time. It's from this time to this time, we're going to think ahead and we're going to build this, or we're going to repair that, or what have you. Okay. So it's a little bit easier to balance a state budget, if you will, than it is the federal budget. Spending categories, the states are pretty much like the same, right? They've all got to deal with education. They all have to deal with highways, state police protection, state recreation areas. When I talk about education, you have college education for public schools because they help fund those. You have the K through 12 education in those public schools because the money that, like, say, for instance, CCSD gets, we get money from the state, right? And then the state gets money from the federal government to offset part of that, okay? So like all of these things, public safety at the state level, you have your state police. You also have jails and law enforcement agencies, right? All of those have to be a part of that. Transportation, again, we keep talking about highways and roads, etc. If we're talking about public transportation, like buses, that's more the local or county, and it's not so much the state. Health and welfare. So, we have like public hospitals, we have public clinics, we have the Nevada Health District. We have state regulators that inspect water supplies, they test for pollution. We have state unemployment, state health care, all of that. That is part of the state budget, right? And we're looking right up here. It tells you this graph that we're looking at right here with the pie chart. This is a 2011 example of state spending, right? So if you look at like education and public welfare, those take, the two largest chunks, if you will. And then the next largest one is insurance trust expenditure. And then we're looking at just other. And so you can see kind of the breakdown, definitely a lot smaller amounts, obviously more and more and more and more. Whereas at the federal level, it's kind of like a big chunk for the states or this or that, right? Well, not really big, but especially when we talk about the type of expenditures that they have. Arts and recreation, state parks, etc. And then we've talked about local government. And generally, when we say local, we're generally talking about cities and towns, although we could take it all the way down to like CCSD as a school district. That is a form of a local government, right? They have to draw up a budget and organize their spending as well. And it could be, there's city courts and city jails and city firefighters and city police officers. And they have to deal with the roads and stoplights. They deal with setting up for elections, even though the states manage them, the election districts all within the cities, right? They monitor public health. They manage their city facilities, things like that. So when we're talking about it, and here's even further breakdown of a city government, right? Even further breakdown. Although, as you can see, education, again, is one of the highest things that they spend money on. And then insurance and trust is right there. Other is right there. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about whether it's at federal, state, or local, there are definite things, the bills that have to be paid first. Remember, that's mandatory spending. Social welfare programs, which we can see both at the state and the local level as well. And then we have at the federal level, discretionary spending, kind of the same thing at the state and the local level as well. And all of this stuff is agreed to because we elect these people to do this for us, right? So how do states get money? Well, we talked about that, right? They get, if you're in a state, like not like Nevada, we don't have, other states have state income tax. There are revenue taxes, sales tax, property taxes at the local level. Sometimes there are different sales taxes, excise taxes. We don't have a local income tax. We do have business taxes, but we don't have a personal local income tax. They do in New York, though. So that would be a source of revenue as well. Okay. And then I think that's pretty much it for this page. I've got a quick little video, so I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to play, it's like 3 minutes, and then we'll come back to us, okay? Give me a moment.
What do you love most about your city? Good parks, safe streets, clean water? Ever wonder who pays for those services? Well, it's all of us. That's right. We're the taxpayers, and we pay for those services when you live or shop in a city. These same taxes also go to your schools, the county, the state. In fact, your city only gets a small portion of the property and sales tax collected within its limits. City revenues go to the operating budget, where the council funds things like police and fire, parks and recreation, planning, streets and sidewalks. These services aren't cheap. Police and fire alone can take up half the city budget. What about the city utility systems like water and sewer? Who pays for that? Customers. Their money goes to that service, and it can't be used for anything else, like a new park that residents want. And in case you were thinking that the state and federal government pays for some of those services, well, there's not much money there. Their support of cities has dwindled. Overall, city revenues may increase in strong economic times, but they also decrease when things aren't so good. During the downturn, cities work to minimize impacts on the public, but that creates challenges even when the economy recovers, and especially when population grows. Cities are also working to enhance the services residents want, like faster public safety response time, reduced traffic, and better parks. This poses a budget problem today and into the future. Vibrant cities need reliable and stable revenue. We all need to work together to ensure that we can fund the many things we love about our cities.
Okay, so we're still, it's module 9, lesson 4. I just yesterday remembered didn't get to that last page in the course arc. So I just kind of wanted to go back over that, even though you're not answering a question in the course arc for this, and it's not a question on the notebook. I still kind of wanted to go over it. Okay. And so that just, I wanted to make sure we went through that. Now remember our quizzes, because on our thing, we'll get back to it. If this will open up, I've been having some weird issues with my Google today as well. Oops, why is it not? Okay. So I just wanted to finish that one up. The quiz, remember the review sheets that you're allowed to use are in our live session pages. Plus, this was also in Tuesday's announcement, I do believe. If it wasn't in Tuesday's announcement, it was definitely in the live page for this week. It'll be in tomorrow's announcement as well. It's just a review. So all the stuff that we have done in our course arc, all of the questions that we have looked at, the vocabulary, so looking at the types of taxes like progressive, the higher your income, the higher the tax, proportional, no matter what income, it's the same tax, or regressive, higher income, less tax, usually that's sales tax. We talked about tax deductions and how that's stuff that you get that will like comes out of your gross amount. So it lessens your tax burden. Same with credits. Credits are a way of incentivizing us to do what the government wants us to do, either in a good way, like, hey, if you donate, you get a credit for this. Or if you want to, you know, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, or eat sugar, we're going to give you, you know, a tax on that, the sin tax, right? So that's the way of government getting us to do the carrot or the stick. We talked about in regards to taxes, how the four big things, remember, they need to be simple, efficient, certain, and equity. Well, we know it's April 15th. Especially now that we have all of these online tax programs, it's efficient. The equity part, everybody's arguing over it. And in their drive to make it equitable, simplicity has kind of gone out the door because of what all has to happen to try and reach the equity portion of it. We talked about the inelastic demand and tax burden. So the tax burden shifts to the consumer if demand is inelastic, change as little as price increases. And I said, remember, the way to remember that is like gas and power and water, right? They can shift the tax burden over to us because we're still going to pay it no matter what. Whereas tax burdens shift to the business if demand is elastic. So like if they make it too expensive and it's something we can be like, well, I'm not buying that. Then if they want to continue to sell, they know they can't dump it and make it too expensive because then the demand will be gone. Okay. We looked at where we fit in the middle. We talked about withholding from our paychecks. So you have tax withholding, and we looked at the different tax brackets, both for personal income, corporate taxes. They have money taken out of their profits. We talked about like where you fit on the tax bracket and how even if you're on one part, not all of your income is based off of specific amounts. We watched 2 different videos on that. We talked about unemployment taxes, which is paid by employers. We talked about excise taxes, and that's revenue on the sale or manufacture of a good. Estate taxes, that's basically total value of the money or property of a person who has died. You have to pay a tax on that. Gift taxes is a tax on money or property that one living person gives to another. Tariffs, those are protective taxes on import goods. We really don't have a lot of those anymore. We also talked about, when we talked about federal spending, we talked about entitlements and how the mandatory spending from the federal government, the majority of it goes to social welfare programs or entitlement programs. Then you're going to be absent today, Gavin. There's nothing I can do. We talked about, you know, Social Security and Medicare and how there's less people putting money in and more people taking money out, which is causing problems. We talked about mandatory spending, all the stuff that gets spent first, which is about 68%. And of course, the more it goes up, the less discretionary spending that the government has. And discretionary is the things that they can choose how much they're going to pay for. But out of that discretionary spending, defense is the highest amount. And I think that was everything that we went through in our course arc and the notebook on Monday and on Wednesday. And this last little bit was what we were talking about for local and state governments. So that is your review. Okay. And then let's see. Oh, if you haven't completed the teacher survey and announcements, if you could do that, that would be awesome. And then the question I had from you guys is I'm still getting kiddos who are turning in their EverFi screenshots incorrectly. Do you want me to show you what I'm looking for? Okay, so we've done directions video, and there have now been, I think, like 4 of our live meet videos that have gone over this. This is the last time I'm doing this one, okay? So I've got to, hang on a second. I'm going to literally show you my entire screen. So give me just a moment. Give me a second here. Now, mine is going to look a little bit different than yours only because I can't go through to the assessment because I'm a teacher and it doesn't do that for me. Okay. But what I want to see, I keep asking you guys, what lesson is this? This right here, number one, is not an assessment page. This is not what I want. This right, like this up here, where it says marketplace, that's the course. Okay. What I want to see is when you go to the orange building that says marketplaces, that's the lesson. You're going to click on it. You're going to go through the entire lesson. And at the end, there are 10 question assessment that you have to take and pass. Once you have taken and passed that, that's when, before you go anywhere else, you're going to give me a screenshot. So it's going to be a little loud for a moment, but I'm going to click on the first marketplace lesson in the marketplace course. So I'm clicking on the orange building. Okay, so you have to go through the entire thing, follow all the directions, etc. At the end of this lesson, 10 questions. You've got to make a 7 out of 10 or better. Now remember, this is a summative grade. And you can retake these assessments as many times as you need. So if you need to bring up your summative percentage, this would be a good way to do so. So you go through the entire lesson. You take your assessment. In this area, instead of the picture, you have a white screen that says, here's your assessment grade. What I want is a screenshot of your entire screen, this entire thing. You will notice right up here, you guys see this up here? You guys see this? That's the lesson. That's what I'm asking you guys for. I need to know what lesson it is. You giving me an assessment grade? I don't know what lesson it's from. This shows me what lesson. Right here. Oh, look, my name. If your name is not attached to it, how do I know it's yours? Okay. And then here, instead of this picture, obviously it'll be a big white box. Your assessment grade is 70, 80, 90, or 100%. I need all of that. You need to screenshot the entire screen, or you need to pick up your phone and take a picture of all of that. And that's what needs to get turned in. Now, you need to make sure that the picture, if you do it with your phone, it is like an IMG or a JPEG or something. If you try and submit an HEIC image, I cannot open it. If I can't open it, I can't give you a grade. So do not submit HEIC images, okay? So marketplace lesson, your name, and then your assessment grade would show up here when you're done with the assessment, okay? That's the first one. The second lesson is the economy. It's this blue and gray building. You click on the lesson. All right, so up here, you know what, let me click on this. Hang on, because it's making this noise. All right, because the speaker is still on. But up here, just like in the last one, it would say the economy, okay, your name, and then once you have taken the assessment at the end of this entire lesson and got 7, 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 questions correctly, I want a screenshot of the entire screen showing me the tab that says the economy, your name, and your assessment grade. Okay? Any questions on what I'm looking for? Okay, so now we'll come back to this course later because we're going to do the startup and the keys to investing in a different module. Right now, the only two that you have to have screenshotted and done is the marketplace lesson and the economy lesson. Both of those are in the marketplaces course. Okay. All right. So let me take it out of the screen thing so I can go back to the tab. Do you need me to point out the live session pages, the playback pages? Okay, so here's what we're doing for the rest of this class period. You are staying in this meet with me, and you are going to work on whatever it is you owe me from Module 9. If you did not make an 80% or better on, your project or the EverFi, now's the time to do it while you're in here with me. My very, very strong suggestion, if you have not completed and gotten 100% on all of the course arcs, go do those right now. You can redo those as many times as you need to until you make 100%. There is a method to my madness. Number one, it gives you points in the formative category. Number two, you're reviewing all of those questions that are the question bank for the quiz come from the course arc. So by going through and redoing that, you're refreshing your brain, right? And then you can go take the quiz. Now, obviously, you cannot take the quiz while you're sitting in here with me because honor lock. But you can be doing what you need to do to get prepped for it. Okay? Are there any questions about what I want you guys to do today? Because I'm giving you a catch-up day. I'm giving you half the class to work on catching up since everything will be due by 11:59 p.m. on Monday. Okay. So do you guys want me to play the brain music? The thinking, studying music? Yes, no, yes? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna mute myself so that you don't get that reverberation. Because it's not like a cool, beat bass going on for the reverb. No, it's just a lot of extra. All right, so then I'm gonna be right here. If you need me, I'm here to answer your questions, okay? Do you guys want to see the video that goes with it? Okay. It's cool. It's jellyfish. All right, so I'm just going to hang out here with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, but I'm here if you guys need me, okay?